Hello and welcome to Empower with Michaela McCormick. I am your host. And this show is all about interviewing extraordinary people who've overcome setback and challenges in the face of adversity and struggle. And today we've got Oumar Niasse. We are thrilled to have footballer Oumar Niasse to join us today at DM News. Hello, Omar. How are you?
Hello, Michaela. I'm very good, thank you. You?
I'm good. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for joining us.
So,
And hearing that today,
hmm
what makes you think, why have I invited Omar?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. You just told me we need to have a chat, a podcast, and I said, why not? Because I trust you at the same time, and I kind of have an idea of what exactly we're gonna talk about. But honestly, probably a lot of things.
Well, talk to us about your early life in Senegal.
It's a difficult one. It's a difficult one because it was growing up in a neighborhood where you have maybe 20 family, 25 family living around you, and if you are one of the poorest, even the poorest, it's very difficult. But it wasn't a sad one. It was a difficult one, but it was a sad one. I was happy as a kid. I've got a lot of siblings. I'm the second youngest. I was seven siblings, so I have big brothers, big sister who probably been there for me and for my younger brother. But it's one of those where you're gonna have to, looking back now, you understand how difficult it was, how just challenging living in those circumstances in the country like Senegal, and in the neighborhood it wasn't even that great. And if you are one of the poorest and had to go through a lot of things with your parents, with your siblings, yeah, it was a difficult one. But thanks God I'm here today, and I can just tell my kids how things were, and just if I have anything, picture, any memory to just remind them, then life is not always like what is today, because it was hard at one point. I'm just trying to make sure they're not gonna go through what I go through, and so far I'm doing a good job.
When you say it was hard and difficult, what do you mean? What are the differences between the way that you live now and the way that you were brought up?
Living right now with is kind of, when I'm looking at my kids and my niece and my nephews back home, they go to school. They have a bag to go to school. They have clothes to go to school. Not only the same one all the time. For those who travel, they have a car who take them to school. I didn't have that. I have to use one bag, school bag for backpack for maybe 2, 3 years sometimes. Well, every year when is the new, and like when is the news to go back to school, my friends, they got all the things new. Sometimes they have to pass me the one they had old one. As a child, that's a difficult thing to do, because you want new things. You don't understand. You don't know why your parents cannot provide you certain things. But understanding that now and looking at this, I just understand. I just know that they were so brave, because to be able to have 8 kids and not be in that great situation because of different things happening. Sometimes my father used to work as a bus driver, and at some point their company just get bankrupted, and there was a huge problem. He hasn't worked for maybe 6 years, 7 years. If you have 8 child, that's the big problem. So that was kind of the things. First, you have to go to school, and when you go to school, it's a big problem to just get the stuff you need to go to school, and then after you're gonna have to, what you're gonna eat. Do you have electricity at home? Which sometimes it's a problem, because if you don't pay the bills, they cut it. So sometimes I used to do my homework before it gets dark. Sometimes you have to, because I was lucky, I was the youngest one, but I've seen my brothers not have 3 meals a day, because, well, the meals left over, I was gonna go for the youngest one, and luckily I was one of the youngest one. And looking at that, I just understand this. It was just like something really difficult. But as I said, I was sad from time to times when I realized certain things, like when the school coming and everyone is dressed nice, having new things and showing off, coming first day at school, laughing. You'd realize, well, there are certain things missing around you that can make you feel a certain type of way as a kid. But in general, like I said, I was happy because I was able to be in the environment where every time I could do what I like, what I wanted, which is playing football, which I always dreamt of doing. So, yeah, as a young boy, I always try to play. I always try to do that, and that make me to be not as sad as if I didn't have football.
I think art, because football is an art, right?
Yeah,
Is very much like that. And when I was listening to you then, we didn't grow up with much either.
yeah.
I was wearing hand-me-downs for years. So my mum would actually buy clothes from our neighbour who I went to school with, like their white polo shirts that weren't white anymore, they were grey.
Yeah.
My mum would buy those clothes, like a big bag of them, and we'd be
you-
wearing the
So you
people
know
I
what
was
I'm
in the
talking
same
about.
classrooms.
Yeah, so you know what I'm talking
Old
about.
clothes.
Then.
So
Yeah.
I know, but at the same time, you know, poverty in the UK, probably very different to Senegal. You know, I had water, I had food,
Mm.
I had electricity.
Mm-hmm.
But it certainly, I think, drew me to the acting genre and the acting business. That was
Okay.
my escapism. And it definitely built within me a mindset of finding joy where I could and seeing the glass half full. Because you had
Yeah,
to. You had to learn how to do
you
it,
have
right?
to learn.
And I'm wondering, you know, what were the impacts on your mindset growing up like that?
I think when you don't have much, you just adapt yourself to the environment you are, and adapting to that environment I was at the young age helped me when I grow up and I start just knowing and understanding and realizing that I can do a lot with my way of just training or handling myself, because when you grow up in those situations, like I said, I've always wanted to play football, and my parents didn't want me to play football because it was a difficult things to play football at home at that time, because you need football boots, which cost money. You need to go training every day, and like if you go to training to certain circumstances, you need more food because you need energy. You're gonna eat more, so you're gonna use more about a lot of things about where they're not seeing that as like, well, this is just when you have time, when you're in holiday, you can go and play football, but don't think about making football your job. So the fact then at young age I'll be able to overcome all those things with going to school, and like when I was 9, 10, I start realizing I don't have the same thing like my friends when they go to school. So how am I gonna deal with that? There's no options here. You gotta go to school. Either your parents they cannot afford it, so you don't have an option. So when you realize that's not an option at young age, and when I grow up and start playing football and start doing things, of course my parents didn't think we could make it, because I have another brother who's also a professional football player, retired now, but he didn't think we could make it. So they didn't support us totally. They forced me to go to school until like I graduate to go to uni. But at that time, I was lucky. My brother get a contract in France. But my younger age taught me a lot when I grow up and I have to face difficult challenge in football, because it's not only when you're poor that's the problem that you have challenges. It's again when you start making it. It's even when you make it to the highest level. You're gonna see people coming in and just doing certain things to you, or not even not in the, it might not even personal, is how the business is how the football is. So you got to be also having a strong mind when you go to certain places, when you meet people who doesn't love you for no reason. They don't have a reason, and they are free to do so, because some people will love you with no reason also. But those when you have to go to as a footballer to a dressing room and to face certain challenges, you remember and you understand, and your body always have a mechanism of what you've done as a young boy, as a young understanding that it was harder at that time, because you're talking about survival. Talking when you talk about water, when you talk about electricity, when you talk about as a young boy going to school, maybe not having breakfast in the morning, that's survival. This is not survival anymore. When I get to certain dressing room and I say, well, I've got my car, I got paid a lot of money every month. So I go home in my house and I sleep and I realize if I'm not playing, if someone is doing something, yeah, it hurts me because it's my dream and I want to achieve my dream. But at the same time, I remember when I was in survival mode. Sometimes I go back to survival mode and, I remember things. My body remember things and I'm okay after.
Giving you that sense of perspective.
Yeah.
That whole
Then-
rounded sense.
Then it's not only, sometimes we tend to forget as a human being that most of the things we pay attention, most of the things we get angry about, they're not necessarily what we need. Like, you might want to do a movie, you might want to go into a movie, you might want to realize it, but you can see if that doesn't happen, that should not be defining your happiness. That should not be defining who you are. You might be the most successful person when it's coming to football and stuff like, but deep down you're sad. Deep down there are a lot of things missing because you don't pay attention to things who really matters. And we've seen it with, like, when COVID happened, everything stopped. It didn't matter you have 10 million in your bank. It didn't matter you are the most famous person in the world. You stayed at home. You wore masks. You did a lot of things where we all go to the same level at the same time for 2-3 months. And even after the lockdown being realized, you just realize there are certain things who can change your life so quickly. Then you don't even think about acting or playing football or just doing anything where it's gonna make you to just. Those things are important because it makes people happy. But at the same time, when you're doing it and things doesn't go well and someone else is doing it, just understand it's not your time. Your time will come, or might not come. But if that doesn't happen, just make sure you're in the right place, the right mind, and just be happy.
Prepare yourself. So much is coming up for me there. One thing you mentioned is this kind of idea of what you focus on. And I always think that the biggest contributor towards pain is this illusion of loss. Whenever we feel like we're in lack or we're focusing on our loss, that's when we feel in pain. And we get to choose that, don't we? Because we get to choose what we focus on and what we don't focus on. But I want to go back to your childhood, and I want to go back to how did it happen? How did you become a player for Everton in the Premier League? Where did it all begin? Can you take us through that journey?
Yeah, I mean, like I just mentioned, my parents didn't want me to play football. So at some point, my older brother, who is also a footballer, just had a chance to go to France in like 2007, I think, 2006, 2007, if I'm not mistaken. And I was studying, not going to any academy, just playing on the street with my friends. Sometimes I have a chance to go to some clubs in the lower level or in their youngest players to just play there. And the moment my brother have an opportunity to go to France, my parents allow me to go and just, if you are good as what people said, because my parents, they never watch me play football. They never see me play football. It's only on TV sometimes they can see me, but they wasn't that interested. So they told me, if you are good as people said, okay, you can try. I said, okay, cool. And then that was the beginning of me going to a professional way. But there is a long way before I get to that, because while my parents didn't want me to play football, I wanted to play football. That was all I was dreaming of. So I had to go to school, spend time, work from 8 till 4 to school. And then once I finished school, tired, a bit hungry, my friends heading home to just have a shower, have their lunch, or eat at that time, rest, do their homework. Me, I have to take a bus to travel 1 hour every day to go to train with people who are in a situation where they're not going to school, most of them, or where they're going to school is close to where we're training, which is me. At some point, I live far out, because you cannot live in places where it's more expensive. You have to go outside the city to be able to afford it. So to come to training, it was a long way, and I have to go to school first, finish, no food, go train like 1 hour and a half, 2 hours, finish around 7, and then head back another hour to home. I leave my house 7 in the morning and I go back 9, 10 p.m. While at that time, sometimes when I travel on the bus, that's where I just do my homework at the bus while I'm sitting 1 hour, just trying to get as much as I can, because I know when I get home, I'll be hungry, I'll be tired, I'll be dirty, I need to shower, I need to eat, I need to sleep, because next day I have to do that. So when my brother just went to France, my parents allowed me to go, so I'll just be free and start now playing, giving myself a chance to be in the situation where I can be seen. And
And what does that look like? You know, being able to, and you don't even think about this because, I mean, acting is also kind of an industry where it's for the elite and the rich. And I also kind of felt that growing up because it's so turbulent. But you don't think about the fact that you have to buy football boots, you have to buy kit, bus fares, I imagine, every day. That's going to be costing you money. How did you navigate all of those challenges from such a young age?
the thing is, when my mom was the one who's taking care of, like, giving me the money to go to school, because she didn't want me to play football, and she wasn't giving me the money, extra money, to be able to do training. So what I was doing is, he give me the money to travel to my school, and from my school, he give me like money to eat and then to go back home. But I have to, instead of taking the bus, who's gonna cost me, like, let's say £3 to get to school, I'm gonna take a bus who's gonna get me to get maybe £1, and I'm gonna save the £2. So there's just a shortcut where the bus cannot go. You can walk there. So I pay £1, I stop somewhere, and I walk to go to school instead of doing the big roundabout. So I was doing that all the time to save money. So instead of the money I'm gonna pay to go home, I will just eat it. So I will have food, because I know once I leave the house 7, I'll be back around 9, 10 p.m. So, and I'm going training, I need food. So luckily, when I go training, the training after the coach, he likes me at that time, he will give me money to pay the transport from where I'm going from after training to go back home. Wow. So that's what I've been doing. And, you know, it's just like, at young age, you have to hustle. If you're in the situation, and that helped me a lot in my life, because you take things in different ways on that side, because you're gonna understand. Well, things might be, because I passed from being that kid who couldn't even be able to afford a backpack, to being one of the, like, most expensive player in Senegal story in like 2016, and that is like a gap of 10 years between. So things can go quick, very quick, in the good or in the bad way. But yeah, to answer to your question, is just understanding. Then you need to hustle. You look at your parents doing certain things, and I used to see people going to the gym. Where I used to live, there is a well. You know, a well where women go there to go, because it was far outside. Instead of going to the gym when I had the time, I always go to the well, and I'm training, like, I'm just pouring water. Women are there. They think I'm helping them, and I'm helping them. But at the same time, I'm trying physically to get stronger. Wow. By just pulling the water out and giving to them. Just a way of just you have to adapt. You have to adapt. You cannot go to the gym. You might as well looking at a smarter way to get strong. And that was one of those. And, you know, the money-wise, where you don't to pay the transport, to go to training, to eat, to just organize yourself every day, knowing that you're not going to have an extra, because my mom doesn't want me to go because it's far. I'm going to come late, and I might not do my homework, all of that. But I was stubborn, and I carry on.
Wow. So much is coming up for me there as I'm listening to you. Something that did come up then is, I was thinking about when I was moving this weekend, and I was carrying all the boxes, but in my head I was like, I'm not going to make the gym this weekend, and I've been a bit poorly, so I'm not going to get. So I was using it as my gym workout, and so it didn't feel like hard work. So it is how we frame things, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's the way we frame it.
Exactly, because when we moved to when we went to where we were living, for example, where we were living, it's like I say, it's outside. It's Senegal, even if it's Dakar, it's outside of the city center. So at that time, there were no like tap water inside. So you use the well. So when I go there, my mom sometimes she gets tired. She tell me, "Come on, You help me. I went there and I started doing it. And I felt like once I was doing it every week, I'm getting stronger. So I realized, well, this can be a workout. So when I wake up and I know this time the women, they want water, I just head there. And just
They
relax.
loved you.
Yeah, they did. They did. Sometimes when
Omar, he's here.
yeah, sometimes when I'm tired, I just see someone knocking at the door. Is Omar here? The women are calling you in the well. So it's just, you adapt yourself about seconds, like you just mentioned. You're moving, you realize you've been lifting a lot. You say, I don't need the gym this time. So I just thought I didn't need the well. And at the same time, sometimes also, when I go training, my mom used to send me, for example, to say, okay, you take this envelope, you see, or you take this, especially when it's heavy things, sometimes clothes, we need to be a fabric, you need to be so he's just gonna give me £1 or £2, just in general. Go to that place, see your auntie who do the tailor, she's a tailor, give it that, tell her I will, the model I was telling to just do the clothes. Instead of taking the bus, I'm just taking my trainers and I'm save £2. I just gonna run 45 minutes, give it to her, run 45 minutes back. I'm doing my training at the same time, which is fitness, and I'm saving a little bit of money, so it can help me in next week probably when I'm going training.
So you were overcoming obstacles and
Every day you have to think. There is a situation in front of you, you have to analyze, how am I gonna get the best of this? How am I gonna get the best of the situation in front of me? Either is with money, either with fitness, either with food. All of that, you have to be in survival mode every day, from when you understand how things are in your family to the moment you make it. And that is just like when I was younger, living with my mom. After I have to go out, live by myself with my friends, again, another way of surviving, because now you have to think about, you gotta pay the bills, you gotta pay electricity, you gotta save this money, you gotta know, okay, the water bill is coming. So you have to think about, okay, how after stopping football, earning every weeks, good money, do not earn anything, because you're a footballer. Either you're gonna be an agent, a coach, or whatever, but all of that required for you to have a license, to have another job, and to do something else different than what you've been doing for 15 years or for 18 years, because football is short. And while you're playing football, you're spoiled. As a footballer, we are spoiled. You go to a dressing room, you go to a training ground where every morning there is maybe 200, 300 people coming to that training ground. Either some of them will train, but most of them will work there. Chef, kitman, people who watch doing everything. And all of these people, they only there to make sure you, as a first team player, will be so comfortable to play the weekend. You're traveling, you don't need to, with the team, you don't need to know where things are gonna go. You don't need to go 2 hours to check in. There's someone doing that. You're at the airport with your bag. Someone is checking in. Everything is organized. The bus is there. You go every morning training. There's your kid there, like sleepers. Everything organized. If there is a towel missing, you're going to say, hey, where's my towel? Everything is set for you. So after you finish football, you realize, well, that's not happening anymore. You got to do everything by yourself, and you got to adapt again with the circumstances you've been. For 15 years, you've been like, everything is done by the football club. You're playing almost everything. And you're just going to start again without, if you don't have any, just strong background, you won't know what to do. You won't know what to do with your life. Even if you have money, you will wake up and no perspective in front. And that's sad.
It's the reality, isn't it, I guess?
Yes.
How did you deal with that? So, growing up where you were getting water from a well to being in the Premier League, and I know that earlier you spoke about the differences and the difficulties. What was that transition from poverty to abundance?
At the beginning, it was just like, I'm going to make as much as I can because I know what's waiting for me. To be honest, because I was in Senegal until I was 23, which is in football, which you are old. You're starting getting old. You need to go out, because if you're in a country like Senegal, if you wanna make it to the highest level, you better go out, get out of the country when you're 16, 17, 18, no more than 19. So you'll be able to go to Europe, adapt yourself for 2, 3 years before when you're 22 to be able to play and perform in like a league where it's a good standard. I didn't have that. I was in Senegal until I was 23. So I kind of be a mature man at that time when it's coming to going through football, because there is a difference between when you're 18 and you're earning a lot of money and when you're 23 and you're not earning a lot of money. So that helped me a little bit. And once I left Senegal, I knew I didn't have time, because 23 is like to get to 35, which is where probably people retire. It's not a long way, and you have just maybe 10 years if you are lucky, and if you are in a very good league to just make as much. So I just think about I'm gonna make as much as I can, and I'm just gonna buy the things who to me will be mattering to me, because I've always think it could stop. It could stop tomorrow. I can sign 2 years after I'm out. I've seen people that happen to them. So while I was in Senegal earning less money, earning small money, and earning bonus money, I went to Turkey, and then I started earning good money. When you like saying good money at that time, I was saying, wow, this is good. So what I always did is I just make sure I put it somewhere it's important. Somewhere it's important. And I always remember whatever happened, the family come first, and you have to make sure you put your family on the safe spot, on making sure they're comfortable, because I've seen them, I've been with them. So my own things was like, get a house, a nice house, make sure everyone in the house is provided, everything. The ability, I took over all of those things I need to take care to take over of the house. Tell my brothers, you can work, you can do whatever you want, but as long as you live in this house, keep your money to yourself. I'll take care of everything. And like I just said, the fact then I didn't leave Senegal when I was 18 and start making money. It took me probably until I was 23, which is helped me to be more mature about certain decision, and again to be able to understand where I'm coming from and always look back and not let the things get into my head, because the money was important, very important to me, honestly. But the dream was to play. The dream always was to play in the Premier League, which is like once that happened, the rest is just it's just a matter of just how long am I gonna do it. But the money wise, the organization from passing from that side to the other side, it was huge, but it didn't get too much to my head, honestly, because I was a man already when I arrived in Europe. At 23, I've seen a lot. I lost my dad when I was 19, and that was a strong, like, chapter of my life where you you might expect losing someone close to you, because I've lost uncles, I've lost aunties, but when you lost your father, which is like as a boy when I was 19, and you were just hoping then he's not gonna go. He at least he'll have 5 years. We all have that hope, like something is you're gonna make it. You're gonna do this for your dad. You're gonna do this for your mom. But when you were in Senegal and that happened, it toughens you again, because you pass from okay, now things are start getting better. Now I'm starting to playing in Senegalese league. Now I'm going to like the younger national team. Things are start opening, and you lost your dad. It's a different way. So you're gonna see like, well, this, even if I had all the money in the world, I could not do anything about this. So it's another part where you realize and you see, and that didn't even happen after he died. I don't have to wait another 4 years before I get to the point where I know now I'm making it. So if it just make me understand life in different ways, between those challenges as a young and starting to growing, start to being a man, and starting to playing, and seeing then, well, people are talking, you have opportunity to go to France to do trial, and you realize, well, I'm good enough that this I can make it, and they start seeing it, and boom, your dad is gone. So it's a mix of feelings where sometimes you don't know how to navigate inside. Sometimes you just don't know what exactly you're gonna take, what exactly you're gonna do. Because is this important? What's more important? Is it like, and you just go through those things, and then after, when you get to a point where the success is start coming, the money start coming, you cannot forget that. And I've never forget it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Did your dad know that you were going to be the success that you are?
I don't know. My dad, he was very difficult man to read. He was a very difficult man to read, but you cannot see his emotion that much, whether he's sad or happy, or you know. The only times where I realized I knew like he could be a bit sad when I knew he loved our national team football, our football national team. So when our Senegal used to play as a young boy, I can see him sometime when we lose a game. He's a bit, you know, football is powerful. He can touch some heart, yeah. That's the only time you can see, but not like you're not gonna see my dad thinking, oh, he doesn't have money in his pocket right now. You're gonna see him, you don't know. If he has money, you don't know. If he doesn't, you don't know. The only if he's I never seen them arguing with my mom. There are certain things you don't gonna see it. I don't know if it didn't exist, but now I'm married, I realize, well, every couple will argue. I've just never seen them. Probably the guy was so calm then he knows when to say the things and when to not say it. So when this when I used to go to national team and after he's gone, every time when we just doing the national item, I remember him because I knew how that meant for him. But you know, after you just you just realize with all the money you can have, you're gonna be gone one day because there are a lot of differences we have as a human being. But everyone who step in this world will die one day. That's for sure. So you're just gonna understand if you're all gonna die, why just not think about that? Why just not organize ourselves and knowing that no matter what we do, no matter the much, no matter how successful we are, that day will come. And
People don't want to be reminded of it, though, do they? Most
but
people, we don't see our animals get killed. We shy
the
away
best
from
way,
death.
the
but
best way to live your life is to remember death every day.
Yeah, I've read that
Remembering
actually.
then the moment we're having right now. Tomorrow you might just be, this is, oh, I can't believe I was sitting with Omar. Because anything can happen. And once
Right.
you realize that, you take this moment, if I'm thinking about it, and when I'm saying to goodbye, I'm going to give you a stronger hug because I might not see you again. We never know. Because that's how life is. And, I wasn't expecting my dad to die at that time, honestly. It was a shock to me. I couldn't even cry because I was in disbelief. But after you just sit down every night thinking about all the things you wanted to do, but all those things now, for a few months, they didn't matter. They didn't matter. I have to force myself to say, you know what? He let me play football because he said to me, you have a blessing to go and play. And did he know I was going to be successful? Not the way I am. Honestly, I didn't. I know certain things happen is just my mom remind me all the time, your dad will be very proud of you. Your dad will be very happy to see you, what you've been, what you've made, and all of that. And, if my mom is just going somewhere, I say, oh, how is your son? He knows already. My mom has 6 boys. How is your son? He knows they're talking about me. So if he's just telling me, your dad will be very proud. Did he know? I doubt it, but
You wouldn't have known
yeah,
because he was a
would have
poker
known.
face.
You would have known. I couldn't.
And what about the fame?
Hmm.
You become a household name. Everybody knows who you are. How did you manage that? That must have been difficult.
Well, at some point, yes. But one thing is always important to me is I will always stay as much as I can to the person I was before the fame. So I start being known for like 2013, when I left Senegal, I arrived in Turkey, and as you said, boy who arrived in Turkey, I just start playing good, and I found big names, football players who had names. I used to watch them as a kid, and now I'm sharing the same pitch with them, and I'm doing even better than them. So it's just start opening, but I always try to say, I'm always lived with my mom. It took me like from the moment I start playing, maybe 5, 6 years before. Every time when I go to Senegal, I didn't try to get my house because when I was in Senegal, at some point I moved out because it was closer to me going training. But as soon as a fame start, I went back home. So when I go on holiday, when I'm in Senegal, I'm in my mom's house. I kept my same room, changed a little bit, but my room is still there. So those things remind me all the time how things were, and that kept my head in the right place because we've seen people how money can make people crazy, how fame can make you crazy, but at the same time you gotta, like I said, there are certain things who happen in my life who are not gonna allow me to be a certain way, because I know, like I just explained to you, at any time we can die. Because when my dad passed away, I wasn't expecting him to go, and he was a strong man. He was someone who is, you don't see certain things, you don't expect those things to happen to people close to you, but he happened. So knowing that, I always kept on the back of my mind, Omar, yeah, you go. I used to party. I lived in Russia, in Moscow, where it was crazy. It was crazy to live in your life in Moscow. You can go out from Monday to Sunday and it's going to be late. It's going to be so good. But at the same time, no matter how sometimes I can go crazy, but it can just flip on my mind. Oh, shit, this is not good. Come on, get back to where you were. And I just going to switch. For 2, 3 months, you won't see me out. You won't see me do anything. Go training, get back home, watch TV, talk to my family, talk to my friend for 2, 3 months. And I've always have that reminder on my head who kept me to just not let things go too much in my head.
Keeps you grounded. Is it Lewis Capaldi? I'm pretty sure that he used to, I don't know whether he still does, but he used to go home and stay in his home with his mum in his room to keep him grounded.
Yeah, I did that. I don't know.
I think that's got to be so important.
It is important. It is important.
So when you make it to the Premier League, what were the challenges that you faced there? Because I know that over, growing up, you built resilience, problem solving every single day. The Premier League brings new challenges. And earlier you mentioned, sometimes you've got to face those. You've got to face people not liking you. What kind of stuff came up for you then?
In arriving in Premier League, it's like, it's hard to get to a point where you can achieve your dream. To be onto the road to achieving your dream is hard, but it's harder when you achieve your dream, and you look at around and you say, what's next? That's where you're gonna have to understand, how am I gonna keep myself for that dream to go as long as I want, and because you might wake up. It might happen you arrive in Premier League, that was your dream. 6 months after, you have to go out for different reasons. Maybe the club is not well, maybe a manager, maybe whatever reason can make you to arrive in the country, in the league, and want to play there for as long as you can because you want to keep your dream longer. But after 6 months, your dream was short, you have to leave. And you have to understand certain things, like arriving in a football club, because I signed for Everton, which the manager who signed me after 3 months, I think, gets sacked. It's just like not even the first 6 months now he's gone. It's complicated. And a new manager arrived. His name is Ronald Koeman, and he gave me a difficult time, a very difficult time, because the same time when he arrived, there were like a new owner who arrived with a lot of money, and the club has money to spend now. And I just arrived like in February, end of January, February. June arrived, a new manager with new money. He didn't want anything to do with me. He just wanted me gone. But as a kid with a dream, if you don't want me, I don't have to stay. But at the same time, you didn't bring me here. That's what things was. And things were really difficult because I was 26. he sent me to train with the under 21, which is like kids who are 17, 18. Luckily, the kids, the boys there, they were just respectful towards me. But at the same time, it's difficult when you're a grown man. You played in good leagues, you play in like your national team and all of that. You have a name, you arrive in the club, which is your dream. You train with adults, you train with first team, and all of a sudden, you're not allowed to train with them. You're allowed to go to, you're just going to the kids. You're not allowed to just do your job to the way you're supposed to do it, because as 26, you are first team. You do like the first team things. You're not gonna go to travel 5 hours, 6 hours with a bus with a coach. No, you take a plane or you take the train. We took you 2 hours to go to Southampton or to go to London. But when you have a 26, you have to do that. It's a different ways of punishing me. It's a different way because I didn't want to go. When he tell me he's not going to use me for the season, if I want to play football, I have to leave. The only options I had was to go abroad, which is gonna be going against me, against my dream. So I sit down and I say, I'm not gonna go. I signed for 4 years. You can do what you want, but I know the club. I'm a player of the club. So those moments was difficult arriving in Premier League. The other side is just like how the football was so mediatic here. It's like nothing you get, anything you do, they're not gonna miss it. Either you go out or anything will happen in your life, make sure it's something good because people will know it. People will see it inside the pitch. It's the best league in the world. When you arrive in Premier League, you have to change the way you play. You have to, be constantly good every week. If not, you're not gonna be part of the team. You're not gonna be part of the group. I think, in general, those are the challenges you can see arriving in Premier League. And to go a little bit about the most difficult time, it was that time where the manager at Everton didn't want me, and it caused me a lot of difficult time for 6 months. And I was going through a divorce with my ex at the same time, which going to court, and that had a lot of things. You have to go to court, come back, and a lot of things, going through a divorce, hard things with a kid. We had a kid, me and her, so it's hard when you're doing those things at the same time.
But there's two key relationships in your life that
exactly,
are going through intense
the two
strain.
things. Yeah, you have a son with someone, and you guys are separating. It's hard on the kid. It's hard on her. It's hard on you, because once you were getting married, you wasn't expecting this to happen, but it happens anyway. So you have to deal with that, and at the same time, this is your dream, and your dream is dying now because you're not making it happen.
And it's not space to take those problems too either. And I don't know about football, but acting is certainly one of those things that when you arrive, and presenting actually, you can't bring those troubles with you to work.
Yeah.
You can't even get time off, because if you're booked for a job, you're booked for a job. If you don't show up, loads of money is down the drain, so you've got to show up.
I don't know which one is harder though, between acting and playing. I don't know when it's coming to, because you've been teaching me how to act and all of that. And
we'll tell the viewers I've been teaching Omar how to act. He's very, very, very good.
I'm trying. But one thing is, I'm seeing the acting world, which is I'm discovering it, which I like it. And it's a lot of emotion you have to take. It's a lot of things you have to. No, I think acting will be harder, because when I go to outside to play football, even if I have problem, it gives me just
energy. But you feel that with acting. It's like meditation. Okay. You go in there and you forget.
But when you have to go emotionally, I think, I don't know. Maybe I'm not there yet. You have to teach me how to do it.
We've still got all that to
I think it will be harder when you're going through certain things to act than to play football. Maybe because, to me, because I've always football has something I've always loved to do. It's make me feel happy. It makes me feel no matter what.
But I think acting does
Yeah.
that for people who really
Okay.
struggle, and coming back to kind of the mindset part of things. Some people who struggle to access certain emotions, they do that through their acting. I'm not sure it's the healthiest way to release those emotions, I must
Okay.
say. But I certainly use acting as a way to meditate and to kind of just shut the noise out from the outside world for a while. And I'm presuming it's very similar on the football pitch. You can just focus,
Yeah.
hyper-focus on that one thing. And while we're on this subject,
Mhm.
and while we wrap up, I'd love to know what you've been up to recently and what the future holds for you, Omar.
Well, I've been, I've been like just traveling.
You've been
Travel a
doing
lot.
loads of charity work. You're
Yeah.
underplaying it.
Yeah, I just try with there's a charity organization called Football for Peace. They've been established for a long time now, and after 2 3 years when I stopped playing football, I get involved with them since 2019. But after I stopped playing football, now I'm more available, so I just go with them to do in a lot of places, where there is conflict, where there is like sometimes insurrection with terrorism, where sometimes we go there and we try to just give the people there the one thing who I think is more important than anything is hope. We just try to give them hope. Then there are people who care, even if you don't see us, even if you're not here all the time. We think of you no matter the struggle, and anytime we can, without, of course, you're gonna put your life every time you decide to take a plan because anything can happen. And in those places where there is conflict, also the risk is higher. But we're gonna take risk, but we're not gonna take that big of risk because at the same time we have family. So anytime we can come without taking that big of a risk, we will be here. We will come with this. And recently we add like the water side of how the water circus is happening in the world. So we're trying to build a project for 10 years to just redirect the earth in certain way, just going to places where they lack a lot of water and going with some engineers, try to, you know, help them because, for example, we had these things in Mozambique, in the reserve in Mozambique. When there is rainy season, they have a lot of rain. You can't even drive the cars inside the reserve and all of that. But when it's dry season, the water goes totally. So it's only few like spot where you can go with water, and the reserve is big and all the wildlife are living freely. The reserve is the size of Switzerland, so it's really big. There are some villages inside, and those villages, when they don't have water, they're gonna go to the only spots available, same as the animals. So they use the attacks of lions, hippo, crocodiles, and those kids, they're young, and like what we do is we go in this area. As a footballer, they just announce, yeah, Oumar Niasse is coming. He used to play for Premier League, and the kids in the village, they get excited. So when we go there, we just bring them all together, tell them about what we're gonna do for the next 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, showing them, okay, we're gonna, before we go at the time, we just try to find funds here, talking to football clubs, ask them if they can if they can donate anything, any kit they're not using, any balls they need use. So they provide us a lot of like equipment. We ship it there with British Airways, which is always at the same time our sponsor of travelers when we go somewhere. So they ship it. When we get there, we tell them we brought this kit, we brought this football boots. We have always someone in the ground checking the kids, checking like their foot size shoes, and then we bring as much as we can. So when we get there, we'll tell them for the next 2 weeks we're gonna be here. We're gonna organize a tournament at the end of the week. But before that, I'm gonna show you how to train as a footballer. As a professional footballer, I will show them how to train, organize a vibrant training session where people are gonna have fun. And for the 2 weeks, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna take 15 adult and I'm gonna show them some training session every day, 2 hours, teaching them how to do things. So when we leave, they can carry on the job until we get back. So, but the football side is, the football has the power to bring people together. So you go to a village where there is maybe 6,000, 8,000 people living in that village. You tell them you're coming here for water. Yeah, some people will come. But the kids who are 12, 14, they might not.
Yeah.
because they're not going to think about the adult will come, you can teach them. But when I go there as a footballer, I bring them all together. I said, this is what we're going to do as a football. They're all excited. But I tell them, before we do anything about football, we need to, because what the engineer will want is like they're gonna choose some spot around the village, and we go there, we dig. So when the water arrives, the water can stay there, and when the water stay there, instead of spreading, he gives more chances of the environment around there to have more water and to have more vegetation, which gonna help into keeping the
I
water
can hear
around.
how much you know about water and vegetation and stuff.
I'm trying to just
It's
transit in different way,
incredible.
yeah.
But I can hear in your voice just how excited it makes you.
Yeah, when I travel with the engineers we have, they're from America. So when I travel with them, I annoy them. I ask a lot of questions. I asked a lot of questions.
I
When
can
guys say,
tell
"Oh
by
my,
all
oh
the
my God,
knowledge you have.
you're gonna ask, you're
But
gonna
I think
tell
it's
me."
incredible that you're working for
Yeah.
these charities and you're doing these things and raising awareness even here now, and you can hear how passionate you are.
Because yeah,
Omar, it has been an absolute joy to have you on today. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. And
Always.
before we wrap up, if you could say in one sentence, for someone who has a dream, because you mentioned the word dream a lot today, what piece of advice would you give them, just in one sentence?
in one sentence, one piece of advice. Very difficult. Just be you.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, just be you.
Just be love you.
Yeah, just be you.
Oh, just be you. Love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Yeah,
much,
always a
Omar.
pleasure.
It's been an absolute pleasure, and thank you for joining us today on DM News English with me, Michaela McCormick, and this show, Empower. We'll see you again soon.